throw him downstairs. Do you know what she did? You know what that girl did.
Hey guys, what is going on? And welcome back to my Halloween Horror Reviews 2020. Guys, I am having an absolute blast talking about horror films that I either really like or horror films that I absolutely love within the genre. But for today's review, I'm not going to be talking about a straight up horror film, but rather a horror comedy. And this is a horror comedy that I feel like is one of the most overlooked, not only one of the most overlooked horror comedies, but one of the most overlooked movies ever made. And for today's horror comedy review, I'm going to be reviewing for you all Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Seriously, if y'all haven't seen this movie, you need to watch this movie to say the least. I want you guys to experience this film as cold and as fresh as possible. So what I'm going to do instead of talking about the plot synopsis is that I'm going to pitch you guys the idea slash the concept of this movie. So I imagine that in a typical slash movie scenario, you guys would probably imagine these guys going after or killing off these guys. But what if these guys were trying to kill off these guys, and what if it was over a simple misunderstanding? Alrighty guys, so let's get into Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. This is a movie that I didn't even know about when it first came out, primarily because when it first came out, it was only on the film festival circuit and it only came out in limited release. And this is a movie that I would have loved to have seen in the movie theater. But I didn't hear about this movie until I think it was, I want to say either 2015 or 2016. And I was talking to my buddy Jerome and he was telling me about this movie saying, dude, you need to see this movie because what this movie does for horror comedies is absolutely brilliant. And then I think it was finally in 2017, if I remember correctly, my best friend's parents had hired me to dog sit for them while they were on vacation in Canada. I think it was one on Netflix. I had just gotten dinner and I saw it on Netflix and I thought, you know what? I need to see this movie. And guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is not just a killer time. This movie is fucking brilliant. What this movie does, not just for the slasher genre, but for horror movies in general, but the way that Tucker and Dale is able to cleverly reconstruct the role reversal process of horror films, I thought was absolutely brilliant. Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk as Tucker and Dale, these two are so damn likable in this movie, and do not get me wrong, there is a line that an officer says, I think it's about 45 minutes in this movie. Tucker and Dale say to an officer, what, do we look like a couple of hillbilly psycho killer to you guys? And then an officer says, well, it's hard to say because looks can be deceiving. It shows because within the first 5 minutes, Tucker and Dale are driving alongside who are essentially our antagonists, but one of them is really an antagonist who leads them on. But the way that they look at these guys, just think, oh, so those are the killers, aren't they? They do even worse when Dale is trying to stop a really bad first impression that is honestly freaking hilarious. But the more that this movie goes on, you see that they aren't really killers, they're just awkward as all hell. And really when you get to know them more, they are honestly the nicest, the coolest, and the most well-mannered hillbillies out there. Tyler Labine does a great job of playing this awkward person that's trying to impress this girl, but he ends up coming off like a psychopath as a result. And Alan Tudyk, oh my word, this guy has... this dude has such great comedic timing, especially, it's just... oh my god. And just the way that these two banter off one another, especially when shit really gets real, it's just hilarious. Also, Katrina Loden, the college kid who gets supposedly kidnapped. Trust me, I don't want to say any more than that. I thought she was really good. Also, Jesse Moss, who plays the antagonist. He plays as one of those college kids that has his collar up. Yeah, he's kind of a douchebag, but the way he plays it, it looks like he's having an absolute blast in this role. But honestly, guys, let's be real here. We're not watching Tucker and Dale vs. Evil for Oscar-worthy performances, even though the performances are quite good. What are we here to watch? A clever subversion of the horror genre. Like I mentioned to you all earlier, When it comes to the idea slash the pitch for this movie, the idea was that this movie was not involving the hillbillies attacking slash going after or killing off the college kids. It's actually the college kids going after the hillbillies because of a simple misunderstanding. After that inciting incident, which is after I want to ask the first 15 or 20 minutes of this movie, that inciting incident turns into this snowball effect, and that snowball effect turns into this one hilarious clusterfuck that only gets more funny and actually quite tense the more that this movie goes on. This one scene explains that concept perfectly because, like I mentioned to you all earlier, this movie is a horror comedy, and how this movie is able to balance out the tension and the scares along with the laughs goes with this scene perfectly. So one of the college kids loses a bet because he has to go confront the hillbillies to see about trying to kill them, when really in all reality they're just helping out their friend, but they don't know that, of course. When this college kid goes up to this cabin, and when you see it from their perspective, it shows every single thing that a college kid would be scared shitless about when going up to a cabin within the woods. Everything screams, these guys are evil. In reality, what's actually going on behind the scenes is that Dale is trying to nurse the scroll back to health, while Tucker is just trying to do some housework. And what this results in is one of the funniest scenes I have ever seen in a horror film. And by the way, the hilarity only gets better as the movie goes along. This film is full of hilarious scenes, but this movie is also full of some pretty tension-filled scenes. Not just from the way that the college kids are interpreting everything that they're seeing, but when things really get to a head, there are actually some pretty frightening moments in this movie. When it comes to the direction of this movie, if anybody else had done this movie wouldn't have worked out nearly as well, because you have to find just the right director slash writer who can find just the right tone. And Eli Craig, I gotta say, knocked it out the damn park. Now, to be fair, I feel like if anybody else would have made this movie, it would have still been a fun time, but the way that Eli Craig is able to not only write this movie, but how he's able to direct certain scenes. By the way, one of my favorite scenes of this movie, in terms of the dialogue, oh my god, the dialogue of this movie. Tucker and Dale have a conversation after some more shit has hit the fan. Tucker is basically saying to Dale, do you realize that basically, if I say this to a cop, now I'm just paraphrasing because I don't want to give away the dialogue in the scene. Do you realize that if we say this to a cop, this cop is going to think that we think he is a moron? And sure enough, not long afterwards, that dialogue echoes into that scene. It's honestly brilliant how things are set up and how they're paid off the more and more that this movie goes on. And it speeds right by. It's literally less than an hour and a half. This movie has some amazing pacing. It's constantly entertaining. It's constantly funny. The witty dialogue, I'm telling you, it's just a great time. I guess when it comes to my issues for this movie, I only have one tiny issue, but the issue doesn't really detract from anything because I understand what this is doing, but I still can't help but think, yeah, I guess that's my only one issue. You see these other college kids, and when you see them, you understand why they're there because you're just thinking, okay, you're here for one simple reason, and that's really it. But yeah, otherwise, I got nothing. So overall, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is not only a fucking hilarious movie from start to finish that has some great scares, but it's also a kick-ass time whether you're watching it at the movies if you did back then or at home. But most importantly, this movie is not only a brilliant but a clever subversion of the slasher genre, particularly of just horror movies in general. It is just a killer time. If you guys haven't seen it, please go watch it. All in all, I am absolutely going to give Tucker and Dale vs. Evil a 5 out of 5 stars. Seriously, if y'all haven't seen this movie and if you're looking for a really funny horror comedy to watch on Halloween, look no further. I mean, Shaun of the Dead is hilarious, but please guys, you need to watch this movie because it is just such a damn good time. Alrighty guys, so comment down and let me know below, what is your favorite horror comedy of all time? let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm also on Snapchat and Stardust. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links in the usernames are in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell whenever the latest video of mine goes live. If you guys want to see any of my previous 2 videos, please click either right there or there. And of course, until my next video or review goes live, I'll see you all next time.